The day was perfect, a canvas painted with hues of ivory and gold. The sun, a benevolent orb, cast long, dancing shadows across the manicured lawns of the estate. Yet, beneath the veneer of joy, a storm raged within the heart of the bride. Anya, a woman of privilege and beauty, stood at the altar, her gaze fixed on the man she was about to wed. He was everything society deemed desirable, handsome, wealthy, and of impeccable lineage. Yet, as she watched him, a sense of dread washed over her. The decision had been made hastily, a whirlwind romance that had swept her off her feet. But now, as she stood on the precipice of matrimony, doubts gnawed at her. Had she truly found the love of her life, or had she simply succumbed to societal expectations? The ceremony proceeded, a blur of vows and rituals. But Anya's mind was elsewhere. She thought of the life she had left behind, the dreams she had abandoned. She imagined herself as a free spirit, unburdened by the constraints of tradition and expectation. As the final words were spoken and the crowd erupted in cheers, Anya made a decision. She turned, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and fear, and ran. She ran through the garden, past the astonished guests, and out into the world beyond. Anya fled the estate, her heart pounding in her chest. She ran through the woods, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. Fear, exhilaration, and a profound sense of relief washed over her in waves. She had finally broken free from the gilded cage she had been trapped in. As darkness fell, Anya found herself in a small, unfamiliar town. She wandered the streets, unsure of where to go or what to do. Exhausted and hungry, she eventually stumbled upon a quaint little inn. The proprietor, a kind-hearted woman named Mrs. Willow, took pity on her and offered her a room for the night. Over dinner, Anya poured out her heart to Mrs. Willow. She told her about the life she had left behind, the pressure to conform, and the suffocating weight of expectations. Mrs. Willow listened patiently, her eyes filled with understanding. "Sometimes," she said, "we have to break free from the chains that bind us. It's a difficult path, but it can lead to great freedom and happiness." Anya felt a surge of hope. Perhaps she had made the right decision after all. As she drifted off to sleep that night, she dreamed of a future filled with possibilities. Anya woke up the next morning feeling refreshed and invigorated. She had a sense of purpose that she hadn't experienced in a long time. With a newfound determination, she decided to start a new life. She left the inn, her heart filled with excitement and trepidation. She had no idea where she was going or what she would do, but she knew that she couldn't return to her old life. Anya wandered through the town, taking in the sights and sounds. She noticed a small bookshop and decided to go inside. As she browsed the shelves, she felt a sense of peace and tranquility. Books had always been her escape, and she realized that she wanted to pursue a career in literature. With renewed purpose, Anya began to plan her future. She enrolled in a local writing class, started a blog, and began to work on a novel. She was determined to make her dreams a reality. As weeks turned into months, Anya's life began to take shape. She made new friends, discovered hidden talents, and found a sense of belonging that she had never experienced before. She was finally living the life she had always dreamed of. One sunny afternoon, as Anya was strolling through the park, she heard her name called. She turned and saw a familiar face. It was Ethan, the man she had run away from on her wedding day. A wave of emotions washed over her. Surprise, guilt, and a pang of nostalgia filled her heart. She had not thought about Ethan in months, and yet, seeing him there brought back a flood of memories. Ethan approached her, his expression a mix of confusion and longing. "Anya," he said, "I've been looking for you everywhere." Anya hesitated. She didn't know what to say. She had run away from him for a reason, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to face the past. "I'm sorry," she finally managed to say. I had to do what was right for me." Ethan nodded. "I understand. But I've changed, Anya. I've realized that I made a mistake. I want a chance to make things right." Anya was torn. Part of her wanted to believe Ethan, but another part of her was afraid of getting hurt again. She knew that she had to make a decision, and soon. Anya hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that she had to make a decision, but she wasn't sure what the right choice was. She looked at Ethan, his eyes filled with sincerity and longing. "I don't know," she finally admitted. "I'm scared." Ethan took a step closer. "I understand. But I promise I won't hurt you. I just want a chance to show you how much I've changed." Anya thought about everything that had happened. She thought about the life she had built for herself, the dreams she had realized. But she also thought about the love she had once felt for Ethan. With a deep breath, Anya took a step towards Ethan. "Okay," she said. "I'll give you a chance." Ethan's face lit up with joy. He pulled Anya into his arms, and they embraced. As they stood there, holding each other, Anya felt a sense of peace and contentment that she hadn't experienced in a long time. In that moment, she realized that sometimes, the most unexpected things can happen. And sometimes, the best decisions are the ones that we make with our hearts. Anya and Ethan spent the next few weeks getting to know each other again. They went on walks, talked for hours, and discovered that their love for each other had only grown stronger over time. Anya was hesitant to let go of the life she had built for herself. She had finally found her place in the world, and she didn't want to risk losing it. But she also realized that she couldn't deny the love she felt for Ethan. One evening, as they were sitting on a park bench, watching the sunset, Ethan took Anya's hand. "I know this is a lot to ask," he said, "but I was wondering if you'd like to move in with me." Anya's heart skipped a beat. She had been waiting for him to ask. "I would love to," she replied. As they walked home together that night, Anya felt a sense of peace and contentment that she had never experienced before. She was finally ready to start a new chapter in her life, one that was filled with love, happiness, and the promise of a bright future. Anya and Ethan's relationship blossomed. They moved in together, their home filled with laughter, love, and the scent of freshly baked bread. Anya's writing career continued to flourish, and Ethan's business thrived. One evening, as they were sitting on their balcony, gazing at the stars, Ethan turned to Anya and said, "I think it's time we started a family." Anya's heart skipped a beat. She had always dreamed of having children, but she had never thought it would happen with Ethan. "I would love that," she replied. A few months later, Anya found out she was pregnant. The news filled her with joy and excitement. She and Ethan spent the next few months preparing for the arrival of their baby. When the big day finally arrived, Anya gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They named her Lily, after Anya's grandmother. As Anya held her newborn daughter in her arms, she felt a sense of overwhelming love and gratitude. She had come so far, from the runaway bride to a loving mother. She had found happiness, love, and a family of her own. Years passed. Lily grew into a bright and curious little girl. Anya and Ethan's love for each other only deepened, and they were happier than they had ever been. One day, Anya received a letter from her estranged family. Her parents had been trying to reach out to her for years, but she had always been hesitant to reconnect. After much deliberation, Anya decided to write back. She invited her parents to visit them. When they arrived, Anya was filled with mixed emotions. She was nervous and apprehensive, but she also felt a sense of longing. Her parents were overjoyed to see her. They apologized for their past mistakes and expressed their love for her. Anya, in turn, forgave them. The visit was a healing experience for everyone involved. Anya realized that sometimes, it's important to let go of the past and embrace the present. Anya's parents eventually returned home, but their visit had a profound impact on her. She realized that she had forgiven them, and that she was ready to move on. One evening, as she was sitting on the porch with Ethan, she told him about her parents' visit. she also shared her desire to visit her old hometown. Ethan was supportive. "I'll go with you," he said. "We can make a vacation out of it." A few weeks later, Anya and Ethan packed their bags and set off on a road trip. They drove through the countryside, stopping at quaint towns and scenic vistas along the way. When they finally arrived in Anya's hometown, she was overwhelmed with nostalgia. She visited her old school, the park where she used to play, and the house where she grew up. As they stood in front of her childhood home, Anya felt a mix of emotions. She was sad to see how much had changed, but she was also grateful for the memories she had made there. "I'm glad we came," Ethan said, taking Anya's hand. "It's important to remember where you came from." Anya nodded. She knew that her past had shaped her into the person she was today. And she was grateful for the journey that had brought her to where she was now. Anya and Ethan continued their road trip, exploring the surrounding area. They visited historic sites, hiked through scenic trails, and enjoyed the simple pleasures of life together. As they drove back home, Anya felt a sense of peace and contentment. She had come full circle, from the runaway bride to a happy and fulfilled woman. She had found love, family, and a sense of purpose. One evening, as they were sitting on their porch, watching the sunset, Anya turned to Ethan and said, "I'm so glad I ran away." Ethan smiled. "Me too," he replied. "It led us to each other." As they watched the sun disappear below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the sky, Anya knew that their journey was far from over. But she was excited about the future, and she couldn't wait to see what adventures awaited them. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel and enjoy these other amazing stories.